Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to Eastside Radio and Cast TV. For today's show we have
Thomas Sanchez,
Miguel Cruz,
Jose Rojas,
Ryan Rodriguez,
Miss Jeanette, Wallace.
Okay, now Mr. Rodriguez. Let's give everybody a round of applause here. Okay, in this segment here, we're going to talk about academic scholarships. I'm going to tell the audience everything they need to know about academic scholarships. So the first question is going to be directed to Ms. Wallace. What do students aspiring for athletic scholarship need to know?
Okay, first thing, it starts in 9th grade. You don't apply for athletic scholarships. Your skill will show for yourself. You have to be good, excellent in sports, the best. Okay, because the college coaches, they see you as you perform in your meets or whatever you're doing, and they actually come and recruit you. And that's how you get an athletic scholarship.
Right.
Now, what can you do to prepare yourself to be recruited? Number one, starting from the 9th grade, you must keep your GPA up. Okay? You got to keep those A's, B's, and C's. D's and F's are out of question. Because your GPA starts in your freshman year. And then every year, those grades get combined. Your sophomore and your freshman, and then your junior. And then you have a junior GPA. And that's what they all look at, your junior GPA. Because they all figure that your senior year is going to be a light year if you do what you're supposed to do. So they're looking at your junior GPA. And also your SAT scores. If you're going to want to compete athletic scholarship for college, you have to go through the NCAA eligibility clearinghouse. And to be eligible to play Division I, it's a sliding scale, like your GPA and your SAT score. Okay?
And
so the lower your GPA, the higher your SAT score. The higher your GPA, the lower your SAT score. Now, the one trick about that, a lot of students have a 3.6 GPA, and they only have to get like a 500 on the clearinghouse. But the problem with that is, you might be cleared for a Division I through clearinghouse, but the college where the college coach is recruiting you, requirement might be a 1,000. So you have to have a great SAT score and a great GPA. So you have to prepare. You have to work very hard at your skill, whether it's football, baseball, track, whatever your sport is. You have to work very hard. You've got to be the best. Because very few percent get that college athletic scholarship. You're competing against every other athlete in your sport across the nation. They look at who's the best at all the areas. So you are competing not against a few people, but many. And when colleges give out athletic scholarships, they look at your academic ability because they want you to be able to play. They don't want to give you a scholarship to sit the bench. They want you to be able to succeed in college. Now, at that, this applies to any scholarship now. Keep your GPA up. You get a good SAT score. A college coach doesn't come and recruit you. You have your academics and your GPA. Now you can compete for academic scholarships. So you have to keep everything together. Your GPA, your SAT score, and your skills. You have to work on it. Just keep working on your skills. Always trying to be better. Always find that person that might be a little bit better than you and push to get better than they are. You have to keep wanting to do better. In school, testing, serious, and your craft, your skill.
So I think you halfway, I guess you answered my question, is the same criteria for no matter what sport?
Yes, doesn't matter.
And GPA and pretty much your SAT was
right. Now that's Division I was just talking about, the sliding scale. Division II is that you must have a 2.0, no less than a 2.0. And that's moving up in the next couple of years, like almost a 2.5. And an 820 SAT score. When I'm saying these scores, where they're not adding all three scores from the test. You know, you have your verbal, your math, and your writing. Colleges don't look at the writing score, so don't add that. Add your math and your reading, your verbal score together. And that's the score they're talking about. You have the writing score, but they don't really look at it for athletics. Regular colleges might look at that score, see how well you might do. But for athletics, they're looking at the math and the verbal. So those two scores. I've had students come and say, I got a 1200. Yeah, that sounds great, right? But they got a 1200 in all three parts. You see? The two math and might have only been 800. For Division 2, you need a 2.0 and at least an 820 between the math and the verbal. Okay? And Division 3 and JUCO, you know, they don't have those higher requirements because they can't give athletic scholarships.
Oh, okay, very interesting. Now, the panel here, I believe Mr. Rojas has an interesting story. What's your story?
Yes, sir.
Scholarships?
So I played baseball at Eastside High School from 2000 to 2004. And my freshman and sophomore year, as Wallace said, I struggled a little with my grades overall. And my GPA was low. By the time I was a junior, someone told me I had an opportunity to play Division I baseball. Not too many of us get to play at Division I baseball, especially with all the scholarship money. And by the time I was a junior, I noticed that if I get my GPA over 275, with my ACT scores, I was eligible to play at a Division I level of school of choice. I was recruited by a few schools and overall chose Virginia Tech to play baseball there. And like you said before, I had a 275 and I had a 27 on my ACT. And that was the requirements to get into the clearinghouse, but it was a requirement that Virginia Tech allowed me to go there. It was one of those things, but it was hard. It was extremely hard to manage, to balance both academics and athletics. I was getting up early in the morning, training in the morning, and I was staying after school with the teachers, lunchtime, and putting in all the extra work because I was so far behind my freshman and sophomore year. And it was very difficult for me to get to 275 because as you guys know, once you drop the GPA below a 2.0, it's going to be extremely difficult to get up above that. So I think my junior and senior year, I was honor roll and doing them, but I was also taking the electives and the extra courses after school, independent studies that I had to take just to get my GPA to the point that I was going to be eligible to play Division.
And as an athlete, you had to work twice as hard then. Your grades, and also you had to keep your skills up, right?
Yes, exactly. You have to find, the biggest thing for me was the time management, and to be able to put 100% into the sport and then put 100% into the classroom. Once you manage the time into that and you start appreciating what you're doing, I think everything else will take care of itself.
That's the major point, because you what you just said about time management. You start that now in high school. You have practice, but you've also got to set aside time to study. And if you do that now when you're in high school, you're already in the habit of doing it. So when you go to college, you're already used to doing it.
It was very difficult for me because I wasn't a disciplined person. I had a little bit of discipline at home, meaning behavior and such things, but as an athlete to be able to do the schoolwork and being able to do the baseball and then go home late night to complete the rest of my homework, that was the hardest part for me to get it going. And then overall, just the teachers were trying to help me so much that I was always involved with multiple teachers in math, English, improving my writing skills, my math skills. And I think that was the overall challenge, but eventually it paid off. They paid for my school and I decided to play baseball and get an education.
Yeah, look at just for the record, I think I was a freshman or sophomore.
Might have been a freshman. We had
Yeah, because I had him as a keyboarding teacher. I used to see typing, and I say he was a C student.
Yeah.
Pretty good. He could have been better. He was joking around. But I know he got serious as he as a freshman. Yeah.
But the key is,
Not how you start, how you finish.
He did an extra effort. What did he do? He went to what? To his teachers to get extra help. Do you see? There are so many teachers in this building, in Eastside High School, that if you want to get extra help, you can, but you got to put in that effort. And if you listen to what he was saying, look, he was doing it after school, going on his free time, teachers help him, coming early in the morning. You can do that. So if you feel yourself sliding down or falling back, reach out to your teachers, your individual. It's always best they get extra help from your own teacher, your classroom teacher. You know, you get help from other teachers or tutoring, whatever, but it's so important to get it from your teacher. Because they know exactly what area you're lacking in, and they can help you. You see, he did it, but he had to put in that extra time, that extra effort, go get his instructors to get that extra help that he needed.
Cool. Does anyone have any other questions? Any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
Mr. Rojas said something about he took the ACT. What's the difference between the two?
Okay,
Oh, ACT.
I failed to talk about the ACT, but there are two college or board tests. One is the SAT, and there's also an ACT. Well, it's not by, ACT is not by college board, but it's another test. Most of the schools, the southern schools, like you went to Virginia Tech, they look more at an ACT test score. Now, you saw it was like only 20-something, something like that. The ACT gives you a number of different tests in different subject areas. And then they give you a composite score. So when you go to the NCAA eligibility center clearinghouse, you'll see it has GPA, and it has SAT score, and it has ACT score. So you can look across and see what you need. But that is another test to take. Some schools accept ACT, some use SAT. So your best bet as an athlete, no matter what sport you play, you should take the ACT and the SAT. And many of you can qualify for fee waivers. I am the athletic counselor for all students who participate in Eastside Athletics. You can come through me, and I will give the fee waiver if you qualify, and help you register for the SAT and ACT. But I'm glad Mr. Ross brought that up, because you need to take both.
And the reason why I'm taking the ACT was, when I registered for both, the ACT came up, and then the SAT came up later. And I managed to do the ACT. That was enough for me to get into the tech. And that's how I ended up with this course.
Okay.
Just so y'all understand the two tests.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Now, any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I want to ask Mr. Rojas, are there any advice that you would give us for athletes?
Yeah, of course. When I was a junior, I found a person, I ran into a teacher, Mr. Alex Santos, Swazman.
Oh, Santos.
And he was the person that found me and pretty much said, you have an opportunity to do something well with yourself, but you have to manage your academics for scholarships. So what I always tell them is you need to find something that you're good at. And I was pretty good at baseball, but I liked a little bit of discipline in sports, in academics. So when he told me that I could do this, I actually trying to get it done. But I see a lot of the kids don't take advantage of these teachers. Like Ms. Wallace said earlier, we have a lot of good teachers and a lot of good mentors in school. You have to find teachers that want to help you. A lot of them will and appreciate that. A lot of the kids, I don't see that they have the interest. They don't have the interest of going to Mr. Rodriguez or going to Ms. Wallace. I need help with this paper. Or I need help with Algebra 2. Or I need help with science. As more that I've been here for a couple of years now, I don't see the kids thank the teachers enough for actually trying to help them. You got to keep in mind that teachers have their careers, and our job as educators is to help these kids find a career. And if they can make it in sports, it'd be awesome. But if they don't make it in sports, they can always find something else to do at a high level that we're proud of, the society is proud of.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always take, in consideration telling them is, we got to thank Mr. Rodriguez, we got to thank Ms. Wallace.
Exactly.
So one day when you have a job, you come back and say, Ms. Wallace had an impact in my life, Mr. Rodriguez. Like we always talk about the computer class.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, you had an impact in my life on my keyboard.
Oh, these guys
People see me typing and they're like, how did you learn how to keyboard? I said, well, I took a class in high school with Mr. Rodriguez. I think that me thanking those teachers, I think it's if I can go back and do something.
Exactly. And just to go follow what you said, teachers know that let's say the student's failing, but we see that they're coming at 3. I said, you know, you have a problem, come see me at 3 right after school. Some say, oh, I can't, I have to do this, I have to work. You see them hanging out on Market Street. But when they come at 3, I said, you know what, the student is trying.
Yes.
So what we say, let's give this bump it up. You know what I mean?
I will always try to do better, try to learn.
Exactly.
And I was always trying to, thank the people that were actually trying to help me.
He was an excellent teacher.
Okay, that was great words of advice from Mr. Rojas. That was a great forum. Let's give a round of applause to you.
And just one last thing here. Remember, I am the athletic counselor for Eastside Athletes. I'm located in the room right next to the nurse's office, room 114. You You can come in and see me at any questions, any problems. I'm here to help you. I'm also a resource for you. So at any time, remember, Ms. Wallace, athletic counselor, room 114.
Great. Okay, one more round of applause. Okay, everyone, welcome to Eastside Radio and Cast TV. For our forum today, we have Okay, now Mr. Rodriguez, and as a special guest, we have one of the pioneers of reggaeton music here that pretty much opened in this tri-state area, the tri-state market. He's a famous DJ. He's on Eki, La Crema Mezcla, which is part of Univision. Let's hear it up for DJ Creme. Okay, now I want to turn it over to my co-host, Jeanette Williams. Let's hear another round of applause for Jeanette. Okay, we'll start with the first question.
Can you tell us who you are and what you do that you do?
My name is DJ Creme. I'm a radio DJ, also a on-air personality for Univision's X96.3 radio station in New York. And I'm also the founder of the first bilingual DJ school in the United States, in the mixed DJ school. And I'm here to hang out with you guys for a while.
Good. Okay, good. Now, any other questions? What other questions do we have?
How did you get started in music? Or any famous people that work with?
I got started in the music when I was about 14 years old. I started getting a lot of interest in going to clubs, even though you couldn't really go to clubs, but like the team parties and stuff like that. And, I got to meet a DJ that gave me an opportunity to teach me, the basics on DJing, and I love it. I went to school for automotive. I graduated from high school. I was a licensed auto mechanic, but my passion was music. And after I graduated high school, I kept on with music. I finally got a job at a radio station when I was 18 as an intern. I wasn't getting paid, but I was learning a lot. And from there, things grew, and we started doing a lot of club parties, events. We did big events like in places like Six Flags, Heat and Sun, in the Northeast area, in the Midland area. And things just grew, and in 2001, I got the opportunity to come to New York and continue on in radio there. As far as famous people that I've worked with, I've done a lot of shows, DJing for different artists. I was part of Daddy Yankee's On Fuego show, which was I worked with him personally for a year and a half, and the show aired in 40 radio stations in the United States. I was able to go to his house for his birthday party. I have a close relationship with Don Juan, also guys like Tito Mambino, which is a lot of the artists. Just because we helped them, and when I say we, because at the time I was working with DJ Casanova, and we helped open the doors for that genre for music here in New York and also in Massachusetts. So a lot of those guys we still keep in touch. We still have really good relationships. So I've worked with a lot of the guys, and we've done a lot of events, basketball games with Luis and Yandel. Yesterday we were at the board meeting, they parade, Lambe, Temple was there. Guys like Ken White, a lot of those guys, they still appreciate what I've done for the genre. Because we've kind of pushed it. Nobody was really given an opportunity back then. So.
Yeah, now I want to touch on that. Okay, now first of all, you say you started as an intern. Yeah. Now, were you at any school at a particular time? How did you get that internship?
No, I got the internship just by going to the radio station and bothering them every day.
Oh, okay, that was in Massachusetts?
Yeah, basically they had, there wasn't any openings, but they used to get these tapes. It's like a old school tape, and it had to be transferred. They were like the network commercials, and everybody hated doing that job. So I was like, I'll sign up other, because I wanted to get my foot in the door. Once that happened, I learned all the ropes. I started doing production, so I was the guy that would create the commercials. I wasn't on the air, I wasn't doing anything, but I learned so much about production, and I was like, I want to learn this stuff. I want to get better at it. And I finally got an opportunity to be on the air, and it's just because one of the guys was sick and they had nobody else. So it was like, go ahead, do it.
Yes, the lesson there is sometimes you have to do the job that no one else will do.
Yes.
And I heard stories like that too, that all of a sudden the main guy gets sick or calls in sick and they'll call the guy in the middle.
Yeah, no, they're gonna call, you always gotta look at it as you gotta pay your dues. And, it's not so much, it's that guy that's been there. And for me in my life, it's happened so many times. We worked with Pioneer, with doing the radio show in New York. When they offered us a radio show, it was like, we're giving you a 2-hour slot. It's 11 o'clock at night till 1 in the morning. We didn't live in New York. So we used to drive from Massachusetts, 3-hour drive, to come do a 2-hour show. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, drive back to Massachusetts without getting paid.
Oh, that was a pain. And was that what station was that?
That was 105.9. At the time, it was called Latino Mix. And then it became Acai.
And that show, that was the first reggaeton show on prime time FM.
Yeah, there was no other show in New York that had never been done before. And the show grew really quickly to the point that they turned the whole radio station into reggaeton. They were able to do Madison Square Garden, sold out shows with the artists. We did festivals, we did, obviously the parade. It was a big move for that music at the time because there was nobody else supporting it.
Exactly. Okay, that was pretty good. Okay, any other questions you have?
How'd you get the job with Pioneer? What exactly do you do?
Well, Pioneer, obviously, they're the leading company. They make all the top DJ equipment that all the DJs use. And getting the job with them wasn't easy, just because at the time, there was 2 goals that I had in mind, which was I want to create a DJ school. But I wanted to do it using the equipment that I knew I used. I could have got other companies to sponsor the school, but I love Pioneer. I've always used Pioneer. And I know it's the industry standard, so you gotta go. I went after the biggest company I could with a lot of patience. And it took me 3 years. 3 years of talking to them. There's a DJ Expo that goes on every year in Atlantic City. I would go, talk to them, until the opportunity happened that they had a show in Miami and they needed to DJ to demo equipment, but it was all Latinos. Nobody spoke English.
Oh, wait, okay, everyone spoke Spanish.
Everybody spoke Spanish. So they're like, we have 5 representatives in the United States that represent Pioneer. None of them speak Spanish. Who do we have? Well, there's that guy that's been bothering us for 3 years. Let's give him a shot. And that's how I got the job. So they called me 2 months before the show. They said, we're going to send you some equipment. You're going to learn it. At the time, it was the video mixing stuff. So we need you to put a video mix together and we need you to go to Miami and demo. If you do it, you're on board. And I've been doing that show for 5 years now straight.
Oh, okay, now you go beside, well, do they have, is there a show like a convention?
They have various conventions. So as a demonstrator, they fly you out to the conventions. You set up the booth, you put all the equipment out, and you walk around as people come. You answer questions. You have to know the equipment. And one of the advantages that I've had is I've always used Pioneer equipment, basically since the beginning of my DJ career. So I know the product inside out. I read the manuals when stuff comes out. Just to see what are the new features. Like right now I have a controller in my hands that just came out a couple of months ago, and we did a demonstration on it at the school. And you guys in school you study. I study too. I get a piece of equipment and I have to read and understand what it does. Try to find what are the common maybe problems or things that people run into, so that when I get that call, hey, I have an issue with my computer because, it's doing this, this, and that. I can say, oh, I know that problem. You have to do, it's almost like you're almost like technical support. So we do that a lot. We travel around the country doing demonstrations. And it's really fun. It's a lot of work because you also have to stay active in everything that's going on. And Pioneer, they put out a lot of products. You can't just learn the professional ones. You gotta learn the whole line. So you gotta learn from like the little controller that they make like this, that they sell at the Apple store, to the $3,000 mixer that they have in the club. So it's a lot of information. take in. And if you have a passion for it, which I really do with Pioneer and DJing, it is fun. And there is a fun side to it, but you have to treat it like work. You have to have that discipline. Because, in this industry, you can get kind of sidetracked if you don't. And Pioneer is a big company, so you have to represent them in the best way.
Now, to go on top of that, nowadays, as you're saying, technology is much easier. I mean, when I used to DJ back then, I had to carry turntables and vinyl. But now it's so compact that now we have a lot of female DJs too, am I right?
Yes.
And not to become, now first off, show of hands, do any of you guys have this DJ equipment, or you're thinking about buying DJ equipment? You have DJ equipment already?
Oh, that's
Your father? Yeah. Okay, pretty good. Now, any other questions? I'll show you.
What was it that made you create the country's first bilingual DJ school?
Well, DJ school is something that I always had in mind. I felt like I wanted to, share the knowledge that I had and kind of help the industry continue to grow. I used to get a lot of people come up to me and hey, I want to you can teach me. And I started kind of doing stuff in my studio, but at the time my studio was in my house. So I could get to my house, which got uncomfortable. So I finally found the location, and I found the location, and I was like, this is it. The biggest challenge was obviously getting Pioneer on board. Because you can have a DJ school, but you gotta have that representation, you gotta have that brand. And after a lot of back and forth, we finally came to a conclusion, and they were yes, we're gonna sponsor it. They provided us with all the equipment. And the goal for me was I was going to be able to do everything that we offer in English and Spanish, because the Latin community didn't have a school, they didn't have a place to go to that you can learn the equipment, and I can show you every feature that the CDJ had or controller, but in Spanish. And there are a few schools in the United States that offer DJ and production services, but it's all in English. So for us, that was a big step. And last year we took it a step bigger by now offering all the courses that we have online. No pre-recorded videos. You're sitting basically one-on-one from your
Oh, it's
home.
like a virtual class.
Yeah, we also offer that too, and it's in English and Spanish. All my instructors are fully bilingual. They're all trained by me, and we've been there for 5 years, and we've had a lot of DJs. We do like seminars. We bring guest DJs from the radio, like we had like Out Sensation, DJ Young from M2 now. Historical DJs like Todd Terry, which is like old school DJs. The guys that have come by to support and to share their knowledge with our students. And right now we're continuing that also into the production, so remixing, creating your own music. All the courses that we offer are in English and Spanish.
And I visited the school. The facilities are gorgeous. I mean, you have a nice setup, and then also now that you set up production, now the kids whether you get Little Kim, I'm talking Little Kim, not most school, Little Wayne, or whoever it is, they're producing on a computer. Back then, we used to use SP1200 and keyboards. Now, there's people making beats now, right? There's a small computer.
Technology has grown a lot, as you guys may know. Before, when you want to listen to music, you have to have either the Walkman or the CD, the big CD player. Now you have your phone, you have a small iPod like this big, will do the job. And the same way has been for technology with the DJ. You went from turntables to the transition. Like when I started DJing, was that kind of transition period between CDs actually being in the club. So it was the transition between vinyl and CD. And then they went through the whole CD era, and then they came out with controllers. And basically MIDI, which is how the controller it communicates with the computer. That's been around for a long time. But it was always used in the studio. That technology, now they have it through USB. And that made the game change a lot. Because if you bought a laptop and you bought a controller, you were a DJ. But there's more to that. There's more than just that. I mean, one of the biggest things is learning the correct way. How many of you like math?
That's math.
If you want to get into the music industry, you gotta be good at math. And some of these courses that you take in high school or even you move on to college, I'm not taking this. They help.
And even if you make it bigger, let's just say there's people that don't know math, this is math. Let's say one day you become the next DJ Creme getting checks, and you have a manager say, oh, I'll charge you 20%, you don't know how to calculate 20%, you're taking 40. You can't know your math.
One, and just, even learning the skills of DJing is a lot of there's beats, there's bars, you gotta count the beats, so having that knowledge and that quickness with the numbers, it helps. When you're doing music production, you have an EQ, which is a lot of, if you see, the mixer has like 3 knobs, high, mid, and low. That's based on frequencies, and those frequencies are numbers. So, it's it's natural for you to have to learn that and then also apply it into the DJ world. And when it comes to marketing also, like a lot of people, I know DJs that have gone to college, to do marketing because they need to apply that to themselves. How do you promote yourself? How do you brand yourself as a DJ? If your logo looks a certain way, are people going to think of you that way? Because you're using certain colors, or the logo looks, to a certain way that is only going to appeal to one person and not to the other. How much is your logo going to cost if you're going to put out a t-shirt? So if you do a fancy logo, guess what? The price of that t-shirt is going to go up, which means that you have to invest more money. That's why a lot of big companies like Coca-Cola, AT&T, Verizon, their logos are very simple. And that's because they need to be printed.
Now listen to that. I think that's our marketing class. Marketing always about your logo. Keep it has to be distinct and simple.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to promote it and kind of brand it. Like I'm one of the few DJs that you see a lot of DJs have like the laptop skin. Obviously that's like the first one. I have like the laptop skin. My headphones have my logo on. My controller, I got a custom skin. So the controller is like a gray color. I put a white skin on it, and my logo is on the wheels. So I'm like marketing.